This show is proudly brought to you by the Hashtag Me Network.
And now, Hashtag Radio NZ.
Welcome to the Hashtag Radio special of Microsoft Ignite New Zealand 2015. 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. Didn't realise it's been going that long.
Yeah, so this is the first Ignite, but 20 years of education conferences from Microsoft. Yeah. So what do you think? This is your first one. I came last year.
Yeah. I was a Microsoft Ignite virgin.
Yep.
And I've just been broken.
Yep.
That's a terrible choice of words, actually.
Cherry's been popped.
Yeah. So today we first spoke to Lee Harper from PC Media.
Yep.
And he was quite interesting. He's a big fan of cloud computing.
Yeah.
And he spoke with us about how his business, PC Media, had transitioned Marlborough Voice High, I think it was,
Yeah.
into going away from traditional servers into cloud.
Yeah.
And all the kind of challenges that came along with that. So I found that quite interesting. Found his talk quite interesting.
Yeah.
Around that. He's also a really huge advocate. I think he sits on like 1 million councils.
Yeah.
But one of the councils that he sits on is the Commerce in the Nelson area.
Yeah. Commerce Commission.
Yeah.
Or no.
No, Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And so he spoke about how companies could actually partner with one another.
Yeah.
In order to provide a complete overall service.
Yeah. So I think it's something that not just IT businesses can do, but businesses in general can benefit from partnering.
Yeah. So really, really good talk, and I'm really excited to be able to share his stuff later on.
Yeah.
And then we went to the Vector.
Yep.
Where they had their keynote speakers.
Yeah. So this was the big kick-off for the whole week. A few guests from America. One Kiwi came over from America who I had no idea there was a Kiwi on the Windows 10 team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So going through the list, who was the first one? We had Laura.
So we had Laura Butler. So she is a Harvard dropout.
Yeah.
She was also the very first woman DE.
What's a DE?
Development engineer.
Oh, okay. Right.
And she's now the director of Windows 10.
Yeah. So she was saying she's been working on Windows since Windows 95.
Yeah, and I have many questions for her because we're going to be speaking to her tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, we get to sit down and have a proper interview with her.
Yeah, and one of the first ones I think we should ask is please explain ME.
Yeah, and please explain what the hell's going on with Vista.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, she started off the whole event.
Yeah.
Which was quite weird. We walked in and they had DJs playing. I had a DJ playing. It was, I don't know.
It was odd. I thought that was odd as well.
I didn't know. Was I walking into a concert?
Yeah.
Is this how they try and get you all excited?
Try and get you pumped to listen to some awesome nerdiness.
Yeah. It was, I found it a little bit odd. It was cool though.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then they had the countdown.
Yeah.
Till they started speaking, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course Laura.
Yeah.
On, and she was so short.
Tiny woman, eh?
Yeah, 5 foot. That's
Yeah,
how 5 feet.
Yeah, she is tiny.
Yeah, that's how tiny she was. I was like, whoa, but amazing woman.
Yeah.
Really, really smart. Really nerdy. This is how nerdy she is. She's got the sweat of Captain Kirk.
Oh yeah, on his in a photo frame.
Right. That's weird.
Yeah.
What did she say she was saving it for?
Oh, I can't remember.
Saving his DNA or something.
Yeah.
You know, for the future. I don't know, really weird. Anyway, she was saying that for Windows 10, what they were looking at was to try and attract millennials.
Yeah.
So this is the 18
The millennials are taking over.
Yeah, the 18 to 35-year-olds. And she actually brought up a really interesting stat, which was that when they asked millennials 18 to 35 whether they would what would they rather lose, their medical and health insurance or their cell phone?
They said?
Their medical and health insurance.
Yeah.
They could go without their medical and health insurance.
Yeah.
But not.
Take my arm, but don't take my phone.
Yeah. Like, for us, it's, here in New Zealand, that's a little bit... Oh, yeah, we could probably understand that. Because we have free healthcare, but in America, they don't.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get seen at a hospital if you're shot and you don't have health insurance. So the fact that they'd rather go without that than lose your cell phone, it was really, really odd. But she went on to speak more about Windows 10 and how they received 6 million pieces of feedback.
Yeah, that's crazy. Somebody had to actually go through that.
I'm saying 4 million of it would have been, where's the start button?
Yeah.
And then after her, it was James.
Yeah.
You don't remember what James spoke about?
I have
do you?
no idea. I think he was the one that I started getting really bored listening to.
Yeah, he was more business orientated. So he spoke on building on the cloud for businesses. So he wanted companies to start asking themselves, who is the most disruptive enterprise in your industry?
Yeah.
And why is that not you?
Yeah.
And that his focus around business was that, remember that it's easier to lose customer satisfaction than it is to actually get it.
Yeah.
And then after James, because he brought up quite a few really good business stats.
This is where we end up seeing the guy from Pixar.
No. Sorry, another thing before we go into Pixar, was he mentioned something about how Microsoft wants your business, to and their products to join the Internet of Things.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll be able to hook up that grill we've got at home.
Technically, isn't that really already in the Internet of Things?
Technically.
The Wi-Fi grill?
Yeah. But we're actually speaking to James tomorrow as well, so we're going to have some time to sit down with him and get a bit more in depth of that.
James Stanton. Yeah, so he'll be really good for businesses if you're a company. And then, of course, Pixar.
Yeah, so we had Chris.
Which was Chris Ford.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I was surprised when he stood up and I saw, they did the big Pixar thing, and then he stood up and he was ridiculously English.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just talking like British, he was like a proper Englishman.
Yeah. So he started off with the phrase, art inspires technology and technology inspires art.
It was interesting to listen to it because most of us would instantly think Pixar and think animation entertainment company.
Yeah.
But the way he speaks about Pixar is as a tech company.
Yeah, animation software company.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really... It was cool. It was interesting insight anyway.
Yeah.
Not to just the art
See,
itself, but into the actual... everything that goes in behind the scenes, all those rendering. And rendering was actually this was the big one.
Yeah.
Because if you've ever rendered on like Adobe Creative.
Yeah. So this is just like locally on your laptop.
Yeah, if you're just a little hobbyist like me who renders, it takes forever.
Yeah.
So
imagine doing a big IMAX frame.
Yeah. Absolutely insane.
So he was saying it takes, was it 6 days or 9 days or something to render a frame?
Yeah.
It was something crazy.
I've actually got I'll just grab the stats now.
Yeah, but see, when I found out we were getting a chance to interview him, I was, I wondered what we were going to ask him, how we were going to make the interview like relevant to tech and stuff. But coming out of the keynote and what he was sort of talking about, I actually think I'm going to have to cut down how many questions I've got for the guy.
Yeah, well, one of my first questions was, because I knew that he was going to speak on rendering and rendering in the cloud.
Yeah.
And so my first initial reaction was bullshit.
Yeah.
I know what it's like just on a normal little computer, or even on a big server, let alone doing it in the cloud. I didn't see how that kind of worked.
I just like the fact that we got to watch some Pixar animations for 5 minutes before he spoke.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I've got heaps of notes, but you can see those. I'll put those up on hashtag.
Put them up on Facebook.
Yeah. So, what did he talk about? Yeah, so he talked about there are 3 tiers that Pixar look at,
Mhm.
and this is actually the business strategy for their software. So the first tier is all those big companies. So they're like your Weta Workshops.
Yeah.
The second tier are the smaller ones, so these are your boutique. I'm guessing these are like your advertising agencies.
Yeah.
And then the third tier is people like us who do small,
Yeah. Just at home, hobbyists.
hobbyists. So what he was saying that Pixar were trying to do was to be able to render these types of artworks and animations in shorter time frame.
Yeah.
Yeah. And quicker.
So-
By doing batch processing.
Yeah, and by basically harnessing the power of Azure virtual machines. So it's creating a virtual machine for each job, pretty much.
Yeah. It was really interesting.
Yeah. So we're actually talking to him tomorrow as well. If anyone has any questions, if you tweet us before the interview with any questions you have for him, we'll be more than happy to ask. And same with questions for Laura or questions for James as well.
And then after Chris Ford was Joe Belfiore,
Yeah.
who's the VP of Windows.
Yeah, and he was the one guy that we really wanted to speak to. We haven't got a confirmed time slot to speak to him yet, but I'm still going to try and wrangle at least 10 minutes with the guy because I think he'll be fascinating to talk to on the show.
Yeah, so MS Ignite is definitely very cloud-based, and he confirmed that when he said that Windows is actually upping their investment in cloud development.
Yeah.
So he said what they were trying to do was make Windows more natural, make computers more natural by focusing on computers that recognise you, that are more trustworthy, so reliable, and will provide you a true experience no matter where you are.
Yeah.
So not just talking about computers themselves, but your cell phones as well. I think he kind of went into that with the ecosystem.
And this is the big thing that we all got to actually see is if you saw the announcement a few months ago about Continuum and how he showed it, that was a little simulation. We actually got to see it firsthand on an actual device running a Qualcomm processor that could wirelessly connect to a keyboard, a mouse and a screen. So the big question we sort of had, and we were asked by a friend of ours, was what was that device?
Yeah, and we still don't know.
And we don't know, but I'm going to make it my mission to find out what that device was that he was using, because I've got a sneaking suspicion it may be an early version of their next flagship.
Oh, that's a nice rumour.
Rumours.
One of the things that did annoy me the most about his talk was he spoke about Cortana.
Yeah.
And what annoyed me about this was at the very beginning of his speech, he said there was no date set for Cortana for New Zealand.
He did say that they were going to announce it, but they decided not to. So they obviously do know, and they know it's too far away to be able to announce it.
Yeah, so I'm thinking it's sometime next year, mid next year, is when they're actually going to bring it in. Just because it's so... I don't know, if it was close, you would hint at it being close.
Yeah, I mean, this sucks because Australia got Cortana in November last year when I was over at the Lumia launch in Sydney. And I know that their Cortana works for us, so why can't they just port that over to us?
Yeah. And so he said that, and I thought, okay, that's going to be the end of it. And then he went on and started talking about all the cool stuff that Cortana does.
Yeah, this is all the shit you can't have.
Yeah, so they talked about it on the mobile, and he did a couple of demos. One failed spectacularly.
Oh, he had multiple fails just due to the crappy New Zealand internet.
Yeah, but and then he was like, oh yeah, and then Cortana in Windows. And the more he started talking about all these features and what it could do, and how it could personalise the experience for you, it just got me more angry, because like, why are you telling me about this when you're not even going to give it to me.
Yeah.
It's just I thought it was a horrible thing to do.
So then after that we had drinkies and got to eat and stuff like that. But
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So they had a curtain up, and then they dropped the curtain, and there's this elaborate...
anyone who's been to a previous Techhead's seen this before, though.
Yeah. It was funny. They kept their room very dark.
But so okay, this is our first podcast for Ignite. We're going to be doing one at the end of every day for the next 3 days.
Yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But we're going to actually be joined by a friend of ours, Blair, who is going to be going to the sessions. So last year when we did these podcasts, we didn't get a lot of time to actually get out to the sessions. So it was Mike and Raj from Access Granted and myself last year. And we were so busy interviewing people that we just didn't get a chance to get to sessions. So this year we've brought someone along who's going to get out to the sessions, and he's going to come back and chat on the podcast about what the sessions were like.
Yeah, he seemed pretty excited.
He's really excited. So make sure you follow us on Twitter for all of our tweets about what's going on during Ignite. You can follow us at #RadioNZ, or if you're not a Twitterer, jump on Facebook, same page, facebook.com/#RadioNZ. And make sure you subscribe to the podcast, because like I said, we're going to be doing these every day of Ignite, and we plan to be releasing the interviews that we do during Ignite after Ignite. So make sure you subscribe so you can hear us chatting to all the awesome speakers from Ignite.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's the first show over?
Yeah.
Alright, so make sure you tune in, subscribe, like and follow, and if you see us around at Ignite, come say hi.
#me.co.nz